So, major update, major Bitcoin update today. And I didn't want to make this just a Discord only update. I've been pretty consistent with the updates for Bitcoin. Um, you know, ever since 19th of March, I believe. 17th, 19th of March, yeah. Okay, so as you can see, I actually had a Bitcoin video which was the 17th of March, and we have been absolutely soaring, flying since our mid-March Bitcoin update, right? And I could not recommend enough. I highly, highly recommend that. These videos aren't that long. There's a couple of long ones, right? So 22 minutes. But a lot of them, are still sub 15 minutes. And I couldn't recommend enough you going ahead and watching these videos because we framed the buy model from mid-March, and that ultimately translated into our positioning at the moment, right? We have absolutely nailed the movements in the market and our positioning, and that's why we're enjoying gains at the moment. So you can go ahead and you can watch these videos because you will take away a load of information, a load of knowledge. They're very educational. I do them in that way so then you actually, rather than just looking at it from a trading and a charting perspective, but you're actually taking something home too to actually learn. So this video on the 17th of March, identifying signs of reversal, this is actually a model, a terminology that I termed, which was identifying early signs of reversal, and it's a culmination of ICT-like concepts like power of three, PD arrays, liquidity hunts, lots of these different concepts into one model that helps me frame early reversals in the market, right? And then I look to position myself in that early sign of reversal, right? So I absolutely think you should go ahead and watch this video because this was the 17th of March. And this was the 17th of March, and this is the position in the market where we're looking to gain exposure again, right? The following video, which was us identifying as a trend continuation or trend reversal, right? Trend continuation of the downtrending structure, or was it trend reversal? So reversal higher. Okay, and you can just go ahead and watch. We had a video which was the April of 2nd, which was we had our first buy program. As we know that I was actually early on the first buy program. We'll cover this. We'll cover this in a few minutes actually on the chart. I was early with the first buy program, and that was actually at 78 Bitcoin, right? And I actually de-risked on a little bit of the move retracement higher before the third drive lower, right? And then you can see on the 12th of April, a month ago now, this is when we had our buy program, our proper buy program, and our bullish three drives reversal. Okay, and this is what's come to fruition over a month ago. You can see that we went through, are we repeating summer 2021, which I believe we still are. I in fact covered in a lot of these videos, are we repeating summer 2021? Because I believe that we are framing a similar setup as 2021, where we had the first all-time high, we consolidated over the summer, we then had the big impulsive move out the gates, out of the summer for the second all-time high. I think we've got a very, very similar setup right now, probably just a little bit early on that setup. We've consolidated, we've now had the move up into the summer, big impulsive move into the summer, and we'll go through all this in greater detail in a minute. And you can see Bitcoin analysis rebalancing the scales, which was May the 5th. Okay, so which was last week, and this was us looking for a potential. Well, is Bitcoin actually going to pull back now? And it didn't pull back. Okay, so go ahead and just go and take a look at these videos. I think a lot of people are fading. They're really fading the analysis. They're really fading the trading. They're really fading the charting. We were absolutely on point with these videos. Absolutely on point. Okay. So the update right now is, in a lot of these videos, we actually went through how we are repeating summer 2021, and this video might actually be a little bit longer. Okay, it might be a little bit longer than the other videos. I'll try and keep it shorter, but we went through how we're repeating summer 2021 in those videos, which we did. Okay, which we have done, in fact, should I say, and we've now had this impulsive move, which we're in at this moment of time. Okay, we are in this impulsive move. This is the move that we're currently in, right? And obviously, with a lot of these large moves, the move that we've got at the moment is larger. We always have a pullback, and it's typically just a retracement. Okay, just a retracement move before then the next big impulsive move, right? Which is likely the all-time high move. So I think this right now is what we're looking for. So we want to actually frame, are we going to have a little bit of a pullback so then we can sell into the pullback and then buy into the retracement for then the next all-time high cycle, the next cycle top move, right? So this has come to fruition, right, to today. Absolutely, right? It's been even better. Okay, it's been absolutely on point, right? And all the signatures have been there for us. Okay, all the signatures have been there for us. So obviously at the moment, this is weekly high and weekly low. Okay, we're going to go through the signatures like we always do. In our videos, we had the 3 drives lower, okay, which is here, right? That was our 3 drives bullish reversal. Okay, we know that I was a little bit early on the buy program from the stop hunt, which was there. I had the buy program here, and I was early. I was early on this buy program. But we know when we bought into the buy program here that we actually de-risked somewhere around here. We de-risked because we believed there could be a 3rd drive lower, and that's exactly what we did, right? So we sold the retracement of the downtrending structure because at this moment in time, this was still a downtrending structure. Okay, we sold the retracement. The retracement was there, and then we bought back. We didn't actually buy in the 3rd drive lower, but this was the first signature. This was the proper signature that we was looking for. We actually bought back somewhere around here, and we covered this in one of the YouTube videos. Okay, so Kia high time frame level. We know this high time frame level is our breakaway gap. This is our breakaway gap. We've covered this in the videos plenty of times. We know that this is our change in state of delivery. Okay, change in state of delivery forms when we have a weekly order block. The weekly order block is the 2 down close candles here, okay, which you can see. These are the 2 down close candles. This is an order block, a weekly order block, and the change in state of delivery forms when you have a sell stop hunt. Okay, so this low, sell stop hunt, and this is the low that hunts this low. And another additional confirmation on that signature is that we have the close, the candle body close, well, the candle body open, should I say, actually above the last low, which is the 2nd drive lower of the sell stop hunt. Okay, and this ultimately led to the bullish reversal that we've got here. So this is the big displacement move. Obviously, as you know, we like to see displacement moves as another signature and another criteria that the market has reversed, and it's reversing in the direction that we want to see. And you can see at this moment of time, we've got a weekly buy side imbalance, sell side inefficiency, right, which is a bullish fair value gap. Now, I wanted to see us pull back in this weekly candle into the weekly BSC, then continue higher. But Bitcoin is quite frankly in leave the market behind mode, which is obviously brilliant to see. Now, what we're interested in at the moment is actually, are we now going to continue higher, or are we going to potentially reverse? Okay, so as you can see, we're consolidating. We're consolidating. Well, we're not necessarily consolidating, but we've kind of halted just above the -1 standard deviation target. Okay, right, and this is where we're getting a little bit of sort of it's going to potentially be consolidation. This is what I'm expecting. It's a little bit like here we consolidated at the negative zero point 0.5 standard deviation target, but then we ultimately drove a little bit higher. I think we're going to have a similar scenario as we did around here for the -1 standard deviation target. And of course, we're changing state of delivery, CISD, a major major component of this model is the standard deviation projection. Okay, so your standard deviation targets. And I am making a educational slide deck on this, of course. I'm not going to go into it now because I am already making a slide deck and content for it. This will actually be for the Discord members in Occam Trading Group. So I will teach the guys there how to frame changing state deliveries, okay, and the standard deviation targets. But our standard deviation target actually is higher. Okay, it's around 120,000, right, which is -2 to -2.5 at 125,000 nearly. So this is the target that I'm kind of really interested in Bitcoin before, potentially cycle top target and then retracement, something like that. Okay, so this is the target that I'm actually after. Now, at this moment of time, we know we have the previous week candle, which is here, this up close candle, and you can see we're obviously going to close above the previous week high in this case, so this indicates continuation. Right now, we know we've got the weekly high in. I highly doubt that we're going to pump any further into the weekly close tonight. There's, volatility's already sort of instilled itself today, with it being Sunday. That's when the volume of volatility usually starts picking up again, especially when Asia Open is later, so weekly close. And I believe this is the weekly high. Of course, we've got the weekly low. Now, I want to fast forward this a little bit to the weekly close tonight, and I want to pretend that this is in fact the new previous week high, previous week low. So let's pretend that this is now the previous week high and previous week low. Okay, this is a pretty big up close candle, right? And we're around -1 standard deviation target. Okay, and we're practically at all-time high, right? This is, of course, the high that we are hunting on sort of like a macro scale. This is the high that we really want to take. And you can see that -1 standard deviations is just above that high, which is a fantastic target to have. But I think that because this is such a large up close candle, it's kind of a bit similar to what this was like. We had a large up close candle. We kind of opened bearish in this weekly candle, up close candle. But then, of course, we continued higher. I would really like to begin to frame a potential reversal on the previous week high, and then we look to retrace. Okay, so what I'd be looking for on the new weekly candle open is, well, where do we open? Okay, so we're probably going to open around this level, 103, 104,000 potentially. So then our key drawn liquidity actually becomes previous week high. Okay, so I'd be looking for price to take the previous week high, then begin to pull back ever so slightly, right? Whether it is looking for a major pullback into the weekly BISI, I highly doubt, because then would be looking to seek previous week low, which is obviously a key draw on liquidity in this case into a key higher time frame level, which is, of course, is this level. So there is an argument for that. But I'd like to see just a small pullback, and then we have continuation higher. Okay, that's kind of what I'm looking for at the moment. As I said, we may potentially pull back even further and we go for a double purge, previous week high, then previous week low, into the weekly BISI. I think that's one hell of a move, one hell of a reversal move. Could it happen? Absolutely, it can happen, because over the summer, right, the gains in crypto, the gains in Bitcoin, the gains in the stock market, equities, indices, everything are typically poor over the summer, right? Summer consolidation, that's what we call it, right? Summertime, everybody's going on holiday, investors, traders, everybody is leaving the charts. They all go on their holidays with their family and their friends, and they don't want to, when the weather's nice, they don't want to be sat at home, sat in the workplace, cooped up, trading. Of course they are still, but they're less hyper focused over the summer, right? And this is a typical reoccurrence. Historically, we see this, that summer price action favors usually consolidation and a pullback as opposed to continuation. And you'll notice if you go back test Bitcoin, that Bitcoin actually typically tops a local top. It has some sort of top in May and then has a bit of a pullback, and then it's the real big impulsive move higher, right? So I'd love to see continuation. We of course have continuation because we're going to close above this high, and all we actually need to see really is us close next week above this high to then continue higher. But then again, we would have closed below previous week high, which we don't necessarily like to see. But I would still like to see it close above this high 100%, 100%, because this is kind of our major. So we actually had, and if you remember the last video that we covered, this was a daily order block we had, which is here, right? And you can see that's where we consolidated a little bit. Okay, so that was our daily order block where we had a lot of consolidation in the market. We began to consolidate, we retested under, consolidated before breaking above. So we actually flipped this daily order block, which is high time frame supply, high time frame resistance. And I think a pullback into this daily order block, this resistance to support flip, and you can actually see, what do we have? We have a large daily bullish fair value gap here, right? I think if we close where we're closing here, we take previous week high. This is me framing potential trades in the week. We take previous week high, pull back into the daily order block for the support resistance flip, then continuation higher. And that's what I'm targeting, right? And I'll look to probably long this level. We'll review, and I'll probably look to short this drawn liquidity, taking this previous week high, and short into a key level here. All right. So yeah, as you can see, we're having a similar kind of thing where it's upwards accumulation, which we had here. We had this at -5 standard deviations, and now -1 standard deviation, where it can just consolidating a little bit, possibly looking to distribute, manipulate the high, manipulate previous week high when the previous week range is in, and then distribute and pull back before continuation higher. So this is what I'm looking for at the moment. Stay tuned, there'll be another video next week. If you like these videos, go check the links below in the comments section for my Discord, for my Twitter, everything. Come join the Discord. We are a great community of people in there. And yeah, I mean, this is pretty much everything for today. Have a good rest of the weekend and have a good week ahead. Cheers.